Welcome to a, as of yet, unnamed podcast by Notsteam Productions. We're still sort of running with that title for the time being. I'm Grimshaw, joined as always by...
It's me, Liam Davies. Hi, guys.
Liam, yay! You're a bit under the weather, mate, aren't you?
A little bit, yeah. So apologies if there's any sniffling on the on the pod, but I'll try and mute myself as and when I need to.
Yeah, and we'll get onto that a little bit more because obviously you've got a bit of an exciting announcement. Well, is it exciting?
Well, I wouldn't say it's an announcement, but
it's not an announcement either.
You know, I've had a good time, and
what have you been doing, Liam?
All about it. So I went to Leeds Festival 2022 this weekend just gone, or it depends when you listen to this, maybe the weekend before. And yeah, it was really good. We went for a stag do. There was 7 of us, and it was we really enjoyed it. It's changed a lot in 10 years.
Yeah,
because that was the last time I went.
Going now?
Sorry,
how long's it been going now? Do you know?
I have no idea. No, it must be probably 25 years, something like that. Yeah, it was 2010 the last time I went, so 12 years ago. It's changed a lot. But I'll sort of touch on that a little bit later on.
Fair dues. I won't ask what bands there were. You can give us a quick run through in a bit.
Yeah, I will.
But I suppose you've not really had time to play or watch anything as you've been doing that.
Well, I've had a little bit of time, yeah. In terms of watching, I want to give a shout out to 2 fantasy prequel series that have started.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the Amazon Rings of Power one, the Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
They've released the first 2 episodes of that. Watched both of them. Really enjoyed it. It's much closer to the vibes of the original trilogy than it is The Hobbit, which is just music to my ears. And it seems really good. Like, they've introduced the main players. I'd say the sort of setup of it is closer to like Game of Thrones than it is traditional Lord of the Rings. Like, I
think we knew that for a while, that they were more the Game of Thrones sort of route in format, like the Vikings, that style of.
And how there's it shows different parts of Middle Earth, and there's different characters in different parts, and I'm assuming their stories will intertwine at some point.
Yeah, because it's all. If I'm right in saying it's all about the rise and fall of Sauron.
Sort of.
It's that period of time.
Well, it's hard to say because I think Sauron has been around for ages. I think even at the start of the TV show, which is a few hundred years before the films, he's already sort of fallen into myth and legend.
Okay.
But they do it quite well. It centers around Galadriel, who's played by Cate Blanchett in the original trilogy. The casting for that is really good. She's got a proper look of a young Cate Blanchett about her. Really nice casting.
So I'm guessing it's like the main blonde woman that you see in the
adverts. Yeah.
So that is a pretty decent casting, to be fair.
It is, yeah. She's good as well. And then there's Elrond as well. Who's played by Agent Smith in the trilogy. I forget his name. Doing me a disservice.
He's one of my favourite actors as well.
His young version. Yeah, there you go. His young version again. I think that's quite a good casting. Looks just quite good.
Quick side note: Hugo Weaving is the master of comic books. He's probably been in more comic book movies than any other actor. Yeah. He played V in V for Vendetta.
He was, yeah.
And he also voiced Megatron.
Yeah, he's got chops, as lad. And it's kind of weird. They didn't get him back to do, was it Avengers Endgame or Infinity War, one of them, where he's leading Thanos up the mountain?
Yeah.
They didn't get him back to do that.
Was that not Hugo Weaving?
They just CGI'd him.
Ah. Well, did he maybe do the voice though?
Nope, apparently not. Apparently they didn't even contact him.
How weird.
Kind of weird, that, isn't it?
Yeah, because I thought he was probably one of the best things about Captain America.
Oh
Because I
yeah,
absolutely hated that movie. I thought it was
yeah.
boring.
I'm never a fan of Captain America in general. I think he's a bit of a.
No, like he's got some cool ideas behind him, and like there are some good dark Captain America's comic book storylines.
Yeah.
Um, but he's just too much of a goody two shoes.
Mm.
I want.
Anyway, before I forget,
Yeah, sorry,
the
go
other
on.
the other prequel series is the Game of Thrones prequel series, which again
Yes.
is a couple hundred years before the show. What's that called? House of the Dragon.
Yeah, so it's about the Targaryen Empire.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like I think the blonde girl in the adverts from that. I think she is the Mad King's grandmother or something like that.
Okay.
So it's like a few generations back from where it
Yeah.
picks up in Game of Thrones.
So
She
I
was the last Targaryen king, wasn't he, that was killed off?
yeah. See, I don't know too much about it because obviously with what happened with Game of Thrones, I still haven't forgiven it.
Yeah.
So I'm one of those. I'm not gonna rush back to it.
Yeah.
I was kind of really let down by the last season.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were. Personally, I didn't mind that much.
To be
I think
fair,
it was rushed a little bit, but
that's what I
you know,
mean. I think for me, the story itself, whilst it was a bit wank, and like the whole them basically just going right, well, instead of having kings, we're now just going to have elected officials. That was the sort of vibe I got for the last season of Game of Thrones. It was kind of just like, quick, how do we finish it? And then there was also the production factor of it, where there was some really weird stylistic choices that they chose, like the episode of the night, uh, the battle at Winterfell.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was so. I was so looking forward to that episode,
Mm.
and I will put it out there as being the most disappointing episode of Game of Thrones. Like,
Well, I don't
really,
know. I
no,
get where you're coming from because it was so dark at the battle and stuff like that. It was a little too dark, if anything. But when Arya does a cool little knife trick and kills the Night King, come on, that was awesome. I was absolutely there for that.
did kind of like that how they did it, but at the same time, I wanted more. I
Yeah,
wanted more leading up to that moment.
yeah.
It was very much like when they killed off Littlefinger.
I forget how they
How
killed him.
well, exactly? It was
Yeah.
shit. What they did was basically they had him stand in court where he thought he was going to be like honored.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, I remember now. Yeah, and
and
Sansa turned on him.
Sansa's like, oh, that title goes to Arya. You are going to get executed. And then he's dragged off and you never fucking see him again.
Yeah.
And I never
Although
liked that character anyway.
I think, in a way, it's kind of the perfect death for him because he was always a slimy little snake, wasn't he? And getting an unceremonious death at the end. I quite like that.
I don't know. I just think that towards the end of Game of Thrones, they did start making some weird stylistic choices for me
Yeah.
that really
Yeah,
took.
again, I think it was, yeah, it was like, oh, we're running out of time or money or whatever it might have been. But something to keep in mind as well is like Game of Thrones was always the sort of show that it would make choices even from series one, killing off Sean Bean. Like that pissed off a lot of people.
I mean, it happened in the books though.
Yeah, oh yeah, but they kill off people's favorite characters all the time, and the amount of uproar that you got every week when such a person been killed off and this person, that person. So I just think it needs to be kept in mind that it is the kind of show that evokes that sort of reaction anyway.
Yeah, I know. I know, but I was expecting so much more from that like last season.
Yeah.
Like like Breaking, like we talk about Breaking Bad a lot because I honestly, there is only one low point in that entire series for me. And it's only a small detail. Well, it's not a small detail, it's quite a big detail, but it's the bit where Gus Fring steps out of the hospital room after he's just been blown up. And he like half his face is like missing and he drops stuff. It was jarring for me because it didn't look good. It didn't look like he'd actually been blown up. It looked like Two-Face from Batman.
Yeah, he did a bit, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like with how perfect it was and everything. And I don't know, it just didn't hit me. But that's one low moment in a series that was just phenomenal. Every single scene drew my eye.
Yeah.
You know, like, even if it was just like the way a spider crawled against a rock.
Yeah. See, they brought all that through to Better Call Saul as well. Like all the same sort of cinema language that they used in the original show. They bring all that across, like filming through stuff. You know, just being sort of creative with the way the camera works, like if it fixed to something, like a kitchen door or whatever.
Yeah.
And they'll open the door, the camera will move with it, and it'll show something, and it's like, it's just such a clever way of using the camera.
But what's your sort of like take on the two series? Which one would you recommend over the other?
Well, they're quite different. They're both fantasy settings, but one, so the Lord of the Rings one is much more family friendly, of course. You know, there's still fight scenes and, you know, like orc blood and all that stuff. Yeah. So yeah, that'd be fine to watch with the kids and stuff, because there's the progenitor for the hobbits called the Harfoots.
Oh, okay.
The main one, by the way, played by Lenny Henry. And he's really good.
Yeah,
he's really good. Yeah. So it's a nice little like thing that they've got in there. But then the Game of Thrones one, in typical Game of Thrones style, is quite gruesome. And
yeah, not kid friendly.
No, absolutely not. No. But
on a scale of say, I'm trying to think of like a PG TV series.
Oh, it's off the scales. It's off
like the boys level.
It is. Well, I wouldn't say the boys level, because a lot of that is sort of comical in the way that they do it.
The thing is, though, I think The Boys is probably a really good sort of example of how far you can maybe go with TV at the moment.
I think arguably this goes further. Like, you remember the Red Wedding?
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, and how that evoked a big reaction. Well, I think there's a scene in the first episode that will elicit a similar response to a lot of people.
Okay.
Without giving any spoilers. It's a really good scene, to be fair. It's sort of flipping between two events that are happening, both quite gruesome, but for very different reasons. And so thinking about now, I've only seen 2 episodes of each. I'd say I'm more excited for the next episode of The Rings of Power.
Okay.
Just because it's been a lot longer since we had what I would consider good Lord of the Rings. And I didn't like any of the Hobbit stuff.
So, controversially, I preferred the first 2 Hobbit films in particular. The third one bored me to fucking tears because it was just one big battle.
That's what it's called, the Battle of the Five Armies.
Yeah, I know. I was aware of that when I went to see it, and I know, like, I looked at my friend the day that we went to see it and said to him, like, well, at least I got like the battle part of the film.
There's so much CG in that film as well, man.
Yeah.
You're just looking at blue screen for most of it.
That did grate on me a little bit.
Yeah.
But with the CGI, especially in the first 2 films, I feel like it was used quite clever.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I thought it looked
good.
Pretty cool, especially the dragon.
Yeah.
Oh, that was pretty cool.
Like the Lord of the Rings films for me, part of me likes them because they are classic. But then there's a part of me, I think it's my ADHD part, that just hates them because they're so long and there's so many scenes that are just monotonous walking up hills. And it's like,
the beautiful shots of New Zealand, though, man. Like some of those shots,
beautiful shots. But I mean, can I not watch a condensed version?
Well, I would say that the show is sort of a condensed version of that, even though the show is going to turn out to be longer than the films when you put it all together. It is sort of a condensed version in a way.
There'll be more like narrative. There'll be more like dialogue. There'll be more things that appeal to me, you know.
There'll be more character development, I guess, as well.
Yeah. Like, you know, like don't get me wrong, the Lord of the Rings films are good. You know, in a classic sense, you know, they shaped a generation of movies. Yeah, you know, like they showed how to do these long blockbusters, like of fantasy and things like that. So, you know, they do hold a special place in my heart, but I can't watch them.
Oh, I can. I could watch all three of them back to back.
No.
Like 10 hours of my time gone.
No.
Anyway, what have you been watching / playing?
Well, what have I been watching? We've been watching a lot of She-Hulk.
I'm also up to date. Yeah, I'm up to date on She-Hulk.
What do you like? It's pretty good.
Yeah,
going back to the thing of CGI, some of it is very jarring.
A little bit. I do think that they've kind of nailed her as She-Hulk.
Yeah, no, she's absolutely brilliant. I can't remember her name, but
Tatiana Maslany.
She was the lady that played the main character in Orphan Black.
Yep, in all the main characters.
All the main characters. She's brilliant.
I genuinely thought that she was English as well, but she's not.
She's not?
She's American.
Oh.
Like, she's that good at an English accent. She did lots of different English accents as well in Orphan Black. And I genuinely thought she was English, but no, she's American.
Maybe she's lived in England for like a spell.
God knows, but she's spot on. She's class.
My sister can do a pretty good English accent. And obviously...
Is she not English?
No, my American sister.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay.
She can do a pretty good English accent.
Is it a northern English accent?
Yeah. And she can do Cockney as well.
Yeah.
And she does it quite well. And it's quite funny because when we talk on like video chat and stuff, every so often she'll use British slang.
Yeah. In an American accent.
Well, not always with an American accent. Sometimes she'll put on like a fake British accent.
Yeah,
but like when she says it in an American accent, I'm just like, brilliant.
Yeah.
Because none of her mates know what she's talking about.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that. Actually, another thing I've been watching was have you heard Wrexham Football Club was bought by
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds and what's the other one?
I don't know the other guy.
Only Sonny McElhenney, something McElhenney. I can't remember his first name. But when they're going through, because obviously it's in Wales, Wrexham, and they'll be like interviewing a fan, and he'll say a lot of stuff, but then they'll have to like not necessarily put subtitles, but he'll like when they say, "Oh, we'll win 1-0," and then it'll show up like nil, like means 0. Just so that the Americans can understand. It's brilliant.
Wait, do they not have nil?
No, I think they just have like 0 or nothing.
Oh.
Like, they'll say like, "Oh, it's 1-0."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, say 1-0. That just it's
so weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
But anyway, back to She-Hulk.
Yeah.
So some of the CGI is quite jarring. So I did liken it at one point as to like watching Fiona from Shrek in HD.
A little bit, yeah. Except sexier.
Sexier, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Although Fiona,
Oh, yeah. Cameron Diaz. Come on.
Like, you may be surprised at night, but during the day, like in the morning, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
So watch that. It's got some great scenes. I love Tim Roth. I think he's brilliant.
Yeah.
He's an underrated character, actor, sorry. And he's a brilliant comedy actor.
Yeah, like you didn't get any of that from him in the original Hulk film that he was in. Was it The Incredible Hulk?
That's because they're doing something beautiful with, like, I do criticize a lot of what Marvel are doing, because I do feel like they are doubling down, and some of the content that's coming out is passable at best.
Yeah.
And like, you're starting to play with people's fandoms. You're starting to play with things that people like. Spider-Man, for me, for example, I am uber critical of the Spider-Man films because he's such a...
Even the latest one?
Yeah, no, I'm still a massive critic of it. I love them. I love every single Spider-Man film that's out. But I am, at the same time, still wanting that perfect Spider-Man film.
Is the latest Spider-Man film the closest thing to that for you, do you think?
No. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Right,
that is the best Spider-Man film that is out at the moment.
I'd have to disagree. I do think that it's the latest Tom Holland one, just because I love the whole getting them all together, getting all the Spider-Man.
There wasn't 6
in live action,
Where was the Sinister Six?
Well, some of them were saying that
Jonah Jameson. I know, and I do like that theory, but I wanted an actual Sinister Six.
I know. Well, we got the Fearsome Five instead.
And where was Miles Morales? I wanted Miles Morales. I think I prefer Miles Morales over Peter Parker.
Well, do you remember Ben Reilly?
Yeah.
Like an alternate universe Spider-Man.
2099?
No, I think it was just an alternate universe one. It was still like modern day New York, but it wasn't Peter Parker that got bit. It was Ben Reilly. Yeah, I quite liked him because he was a bit different. He wasn't as because always my issue with the Spider-Man films is Peter Parker.
Yeah,
he's a bit of a wimp, and needs to.
But yeah,
sort his shit out. He is. He's a wimp.
It's because he's a kid.
Well, not in all of them.
So no, but Spider-Man at the height of his sort of becoming Spider-Man, he was 15.
Yeah, but then there's
which is why, in my opinion,
the Insomniac Spider-Man game, he's 26 in that.
Yeah, but he's been doing it for years at that point.
Yeah, he's been doing it for years, but he's still a wimp as Peter Parker.
Well, he's a sensitive soul.
You don't get the girl. He can barely keep a job. He's a wimp. He needs to sort himself out.
Yeah, because he's out saving people. This is why Batman's so successful, because he has the money to pay other people to do his job.
Yeah,
therefore he can make money.
Peter Parker's a genius, isn't he? He's got genius level intellect.
Yeah.
So surely he can figure out a way. Make a bit of scratch on the side.
This is true. So maybe there are a few flaws with Spider-Man. Well, Peter Parker at least.
Yeah, God love him.
But yeah. No, in my opinion, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, that is my favourite.
It's a close second for me. Yeah,
I actually, when I went to see it at the cinema, I'm not afraid to admit this, I cried when Stan Lee came on. It was the same year that he died. I know that, I know he was more just the face of Marvel, especially sort of towards the end.
He created Spider-Man. He created a lot of their...
Him and I believe it was Steve...
Ditko, that's it, yeah.
Ditko, or John Margonia. It was one of those two, because I have the first issue
Right, yeah.
Away somewhere. But yeah, in my opinion. Quickly back onto another thing that I've watched recently. I've doubled down on the sort of Marvel stuff, and I've watched Hit Monkey.
Oh yeah, I've seen the first couple of episodes, I think. Yeah.
It's a great. I know you are not the biggest fan of like sort of anime and that style of storytelling.
I don't mind. It's the thing that puts me off about anime is the weird Japanesey stuff. You know, like just like there's always that one annoying character that whenever they're on screen, whenever they're talking, you just want to throttle. Or sort of like the over sexualization of their female characters always makes me feel very uncomfortable. But I didn't obviously it's monkeys in Hit Monkey, so there wasn't any of that. Not what I've seen anyway. Still up in the mountains from what I've seen.
It's a brilliant little series. It's really funny. It's Jason Sudeikis.
Yes.
Playing the Hitman. Now, could really go into a bit of spoiler territory. The story of Hit Monkey is a guy who he does an assassin. He goes and does a hit up in like sort of the mountain area. It goes slightly wrong. He ends up getting hit. He collapses in a sort of village of monkeys. Is it fair to call it a village?
I don't think it's a village.
No, but they live around a hot spring.
Yeah. So yeah.
A tribe of monkeys.
Yeah. I don't know. A pack.
A pack.
A pack of monkeys. Yeah.
8-pack of monkeys. Or a 12-pack, whatever you fancy.
Yeah, they nurse him back to health, don't they?
Nurse him back to health. And shit goes down. And then one of the monkeys becomes a hitman. And that's the story of Hit Monkey.
Yep.
Beautifully told. And I've also watched Murdoch.
Yeah. What's his name that voices him?
Oswald Patton.
Yeah. He's great. He's one of the best voice actors about that guy. He's so good.
Have you seen Happy?
No, but I know what you're talking about.
Oh my god, he's brilliant in that show. That if you love the boys,
the little horse thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you love the boys, you need to watch Happy. It's by the same guy that wrote the boys. It's very dark. Touches on some very uncomfortable themes. But it's so funny.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough. It came out sort of around the same time as Preacher, came out around the same time as like the boys were starting to go into production and stuff. And it's kind of a hidden gem. It only got 2 seasons before it got cancelled.
Oh shit.
But it really good.
Cool. I just want to mention one more thing. I watched the worst ever Matt Damon film the other day.
Go on.
The Great Wall.
Oh yeah, it's shit, innit?
It's so bad. Like, it's not like the CGI is not terrible, stuff like that. It's not that's the issue. It's his performance. Like, I don't know if he's playing an Irish guy or he's putting on some weird accent and it sounds like a little bit Irishy, but it just turns his entire performance completely wooden. And like literally, like he's like he can't move properly because of his accent. It's so weird.
Do you know?
Yeah, I just needed to mention it because it fucked me up.
I have a theory. So when actors that normally can act really well,
he's won an Oscar. The dude can act.
Yeah, when they're golden like that, I honestly believe that's because they have no faith in the script.
But at least give it a good old college try. You know what I mean? Like it's so awful. And I didn't realize, but it's got Pedro Pascal in as well.
Yeah.
and he's perfectly fine in it.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't get
That
it.
dude can act.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah. He could put a helmet on his head and he could out act. Jesus. Yeah, what an awful film that is.
Yeah. Oh, fucking hell. I haven't seen that film in years.
I've never seen it, and I was flicking through the other night. I thought, go on then. Chuck it on. It's about 2 hours. Pop it on.
Brilliant.
And the fights, don't get me wrong, like the fight scenes and stuff, pretty cool. Like it's not a bad action film. Sort of like fantasy thing.
It's like alien sort of things attacking the Great Wall of China.
Basically, yeah. Like it's basically saying that they built the Great Wall of China because this like meteor hit the planet, and then all these aliens come out every 60 years. And
could be, could be real. We don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'll believe that when I see it.
You could be taking the piss out of a historical documentary and not even realizing it. Matt Damon's just a time traveler.
Matt Damon was taking the piss. If anyone was taking the piss.
Have you been playing anything?
Matt Damon. Oh God.
Have you been playing anything recently?
I've just started last night actually a game called Solasta. It's on Game Pass. I think it's still in early access. But it's basically D&D the game.
Oh, okay.
So when you start the campaign, it brings up a load of like auto-generated characters, and you've got to choose 4. But it says at the top, you've got to choose 4, although we recommend that you create your own. And there's a really in-depth like character creation thing where you choose your heritage. So they've got elves, they've got half elves, humans, dwarves, but different kinds. Like there's 2 different kinds of dwarves. All this stuff, and then you got classes and all that stuff. Really, really deep. And when you're doing any sort of action, you roll in dice like you would in D&D.
Yeah.
And so it's very sort of XCOM-y in the way the combat goes. And you know me, I love me turn-based, grid-based combat. And yeah, it seems really deep, and the story, it's sort of typical high fantasy bullshit. But yeah, I'm enjoying how all the systems playing together, and it's sort of open world as well.
Okay.
Which is quite interesting. And yeah, you go around like looting stuff and going through dungeons, and yeah, it's quite good. Like I said, I've only been on it for probably.
And what's that called?
Solasta. So Solasta.
I will have to have a look for that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'd recommend it. Again, it's only because it's on Game Pass. I wouldn't have paid to play it, without playing it first.
One of those that it's worth playing because it was free. Well, I've been playing. It's a bit of a classic, I think, at this point. It's been out a while, at least. My Friend Pedro.
Oh yes, yeah, I've got it on Switch. It's
such a fun little game.
Yeah.
It's very much like a challenge-based game. So if you don't know, you play as this sort of hitman dude who can slow down time. And there's a big emphasis on gunplay mechanics. I loved the when you had to like reflect bullets off surfaces.
Yeah, like frying pans and stuff.
Absolutely brilliant. And like the way that you could kick a frying pan up a like air vent and then shoot bullets and just wipe out an entire room. That felt amazing. And in all honesty, those guys can make us a John Wick game.
Oh yeah, they could.
Like
they basically already have.
They already have. So what was it? Dead Toast?
Dead Cells.
No, the company that made it, the production company. It was Dead Toast.
Dead Toast, yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Make a John Wick game. Make it now.
Yes, please. Have you done the like there's a skateboard section?
Yeah, I've completed it.
All right, yeah, that was really fun on the skateboard. Was there a motorbike section as well?
Yeah, there was a motorbike section. Yeah. There was some weird dreamland section where you jumped on panels and then they disappear, like Crash Bandicoot style. There was these epic sort of like fight scenes against like classic sort of arcade level bosses, you know, like Street Rage, whatever the fuck it's called, Streets of Rage style boss fight, where it'd be some like big, burly sort of like dude. They've kind of gone that route where it's like some opposing presence that's like there to fuck your day up. But there's always like creative solutions like that you can exploit. A brilliant game, highly recommend. I really enjoyed it. I am gonna go back to it at some point and try and unlock all the sort of you unlock sort of like
cosmetics and stuff, is it?
Yeah, not cosmetics. The modifiers.
Modifiers, yeah.
And I do kind of want to 100% the game, so
yeah, it's one of those as well. You can just drop in and out of, have 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and like the levels take what 2-3 minutes each, probably something like that.
Yeah, once you've worked out the basics and like, because each room, like there'll be guys scattered about the room, and all of them, as soon as they see you, are going to start shooting you. So what you've got to do is you've got to try and shoot them all before any of the bullets hit you. Now you can go into like bullet time, and you can use like gymnastics to
so you can spin,
maneuver around the room. There might be barrels that you can shoot. There might be like a frying pan that you can use to kick at, like there's just always something there to sort of help you, and it's just a brilliant game that you can just go back to and just think, oh, I want to try and do it with just one gun and not get
it's quite cinematic as well. Like, I remember
it's beautifully cinematic, like
you jump across a gap, smashing through a window, and then shoot up a bunch of guys, slide down a rope by only holding onto it with your feet and going guns akimbo on your way down, spinning around while shooting in slow motion. It's just it's the Matrix's wet dream, man.
Yeah, like those guys make the John Wick game.
Yeah, please.
Right, so on to our first topic, which I'm going to let you introduce.
Okay, so this week it sucks when you insert here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about when things happen in games that suck, and we'll go through that. The one that I've gone for it's quite a specific one. So say if it's a game where you've got like weapons or whatever, and you're in a shop and you see a cool new sword or whatever, and you think, oh yeah, go on, I can just about afford that, I'll buy that. You grab it, you go out into the wilderness, first monster you fight drops the exact same fucking sword.
Yeah.
And you're like, you just wasted my money.
But, so I've noticed this in games. So especially like fantasy games, where the moment you purchase an item from a blacksmith, it then becomes sort of available to drop.
Yeah, some. But like I had it happen in.
I found that a lot with Fallout.
Yeah.
Like the more you discover,
I think in some of them it is like sort of almost embedded as a mechanic. But I generally don't buy stuff like that from shops in games now.
Yeah.
Because I'm just terrified of that happening. I just think, look, I'm going to find something better than this at some point.
Yeah, exactly.
Another one that's sort of similar to that is when you use a resource to upgrade an item, and then a couple of minutes later you find a different item that's better that you would have rather have used those resources. That shit, man. Like when it's just very like minuscule sort of retrograde stuff, that winds me up so much. It's like if I could talk to myself 5 minutes ago and tell him not to do that. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for bringing this this topic.
Bringing this to the forefront of your mind.
Calming for me, yeah.
Well, mine is when you get stuck in like a death loop.
Yes.
So your game will auto save just as some enemy cuts your head off.
Yep.
And then you're just left going, ah, shit. And then the game will open back up and you're stuck in this permanent death loop. That winds me up so much. And part of the reason why I hate it is I recently went back to Skyrim, like sort of like play it. And it started a brand new character, started like traveling, building it up, doing what I could. And it kept happening to me because I had the autosave function on. So every 5 minutes, like there was one particular boss that I'd got to, and I kept forgetting to save to correct it.
Yeah.
Like going back to like saving just after you get out, like in a dungeon or something. Yeah, and it just winds the fuck out of me. Like, fix your autosave. Like, I think in terms of games like that, Dark Souls and the From Software games have nailed that, where you just go back to the last place that you rested at.
Yeah, they've sort of, that's a way to get around any of those issues cropping up, isn't it? I think it really depends on the kind of game that it is as well, whether that can happen, I suppose. I suppose like more modern games have gotten a lot better with the checkpointing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that seems more like an issue that I would have back on like the PS3, probably. Like,
no.
I think it says a lot about
Bethesda
the kind of games you play. Yeah, Bethesda games, yeah.
Bethesda games are hella clunky.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like even when they run like perfectly, they are still just clunky mechanics.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not like like Witcher never had anything like that happen, but definitely had what you said happen on The Witcher.
Yeah.
But like for like Skyrim and like Fallout, that shit happens all the time. It's just Bethesda screwing with you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's sort of another reason why I'm looking forward to Starfield, because we haven't had a new Bethesda game in so long. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing what sort of bugs they've got. See if you can be like, hey, I remember this from Skyrim. Kind of looking forward to that.
I think I will probably enjoy Starfield when they start introducing the mods.
Yeah. They might do that at launch, you know, because I'm sure they mentioned something about like in that gameplay walkthrough they did. I'm sure they mentioned something about mod support from day one.
Oh, brilliant!
So it wouldn't surprise me as well, because they've got mod support on all of their previous titles now, haven't they?
To be fair, that might be a really smart way of them also making sure the game's fully patched.
Yeah.
Because obviously a lot of mods were sometimes, in the old days, were designed to fix issues in the game. And that's how mods sort of developed.
And a lot of the time they would, like the developers would then see these mods and be like, oh, okay, let's incorporate that in. And they'll purchase it off the creator. Like there was that guy for GTA 5, he came up with a mod that like dramatically reduced the loading time for GTA Online. And Rockstar gave him a job. They said, let us use that tech, we'll put it in the next update and we'll give you a job.
Sweet.
Yeah, happy days. Another one, something that doesn't, I think it happens less and less these days. But I remember the first time it happened when you fall through the map. You can see the map from underneath. Like the first few times that happens, you're like, this is pretty cool, because you're sort of seeing it from an angle that the developers didn't want you to see it from.
Yeah.
So it looks like a fucking mess, and it's a little bit of a peek behind the curtain.
I've had that happen on GTA Online. So They're I can't remember what it's called. The highest Carico Perico Flecky Cacao.
No idea.
Basically,
Is it a mountain?
No, it's like a island.
Oh right.
It's basically it's like a heist on a tropical island.
Oh right, yeah.
When that first got introduced, it was a buggy mess, and you'd try and like load in, especially like because obviously we had a group of us doing it.
Yeah.
You'd try and load in, and then you'd get to the island, but 2 of the 4 players had dropped completely off the map, whilst them would be just stuck floating at the like airport or some shit. It was a complete buggy mess when it first like hit. Practically unplayable, but they have sort of fixed it now, so you can go there and sort of do the heist now, which is somewhat decent.
Yeah, I've heard the heists are quite good, the online ones.
They are. Some of them are great, but they are a bit time consuming. And one of the annoying things about it is you've got to go through a lot of loading screens.
Yeah.
And they get really tedious after a while.
Yeah.
Which, it's one of those things that it's a bit, it does put me off doing a lot of the stuff in GTA Online, like the missions and stuff, because especially when you've got to like fill a lobby, like it takes ages, and then half the time you'll end up with like just 3 players when you needed like 8, and it's like, for fuck's sake. So it's put me off for quite a bit, to be honest. But yeah. Next topic.
So next topic, we've got our 5 favourite gigs of all time.
Yeah. So I wrote this script back when you told me you were going to Leeds Fest. So I thought, this might be a nice little number.
Yeah, why not?
So first of all, just give us a quick rundown of some of the gigs that you saw whilst you were at Leeds.
Yeah, so when I was at Leeds this year, the standout was the Sunday night headliners, Arctic Monkeys.
Of course.
One of my favourite, if not my favourite band ever. And I've seen them a couple of times. That was the best I've ever seen them play. They basically just did a greatest hits. They did like probably 15, 18 songs, something like that. Wow. Included a new one as well, which, pretty good. Like, I didn't like their last album. It just wasn't for me. But the new one, the new song that they did, it sounds a lot more almost disco. Like there's a lot of funk in there. So,
yeah,
okay.
I think I've heard it.
Yeah, and I believe it's going to sort of set the tone for the album. So I'm okay with it. I think it's an improvement from the last one. So that was really good. Who else did we see? We saw the K's. They're a band from Stockport. They're really good. My hometown. Well, I was born there. But then there was some strange acts. Like I mentioned earlier that it's changed a lot in 12 years. Like last time I went, 2010. In fact, I was looking just before we recorded, just to remind myself. So back in 2010, the lineup was unreal. They had like Blink-182, Guns N' Roses, Paramore, Queens of the Stone Age, Biffy Clyro, Dizzy Rascal. The list goes on. That's just a few. But from this year, there was Arctic Monkeys, there was the K's that I mentioned, the DMAs. But then they had a load of American shite, like Megan Thee Stallion. And you're like, really? At Leeds Fest?
She also, weirdly, going back to what we were watching, she was in She-Hulk, the most recent episode.
I watched that.
She's showing up in everything, Liam.
Yeah, it's like she's following me around.
She's following you. She's stalking you. Put a lawsuit in against her and have She-Hulk represent you. Oh, wait, no.
It was weird. Yeah, it was weird to see her on the set list. And we actually, because there was 2 main stages, and you have to go past one main stage to get to the other one.
Yeah.
It was the 1975 we're playing on the Saturday night, I think. And they, again, like, they're not really my cup of tea, but they were okay. They put on a decent show. But we watched a bit of the Megan Thee Stallion gig on the way, and like, it's not my kind of music. I don't think she's a particularly good rapper. But man, she can shake her ass. And it was ridiculous, man. We were stood like way back looking at the screens. And every now and every sort of like 30 seconds or so, there'd just be a full-on close-up of her shaking her ass. Like on these huge, like 70-foot wide screens. Her shaking her ass. That's the chorus. That's how she does her chorus. She shakes her ass. You're like, oh, okay.
Okay. I mean, if that's what you're into, that's what you're into.
Yeah, okay.
We're not judging. It's just not for us. Because there was that bit in She-Hulk where she was shaking her ass,
and then She-Hulk started twerking as well.
Yeah, I personally prefer She-Hulk, but that's just me. I like my women green, apparently. But yeah,
I'm colorblind. Right, I really don't mind. They're both lovely.
Have you seen the Jolly Green Giant? Sexy man.
Oh yeah.
So who else was there? Any notable names?
It was Dave, but again, a bit of a Dave the rapper. Yeah, again, a bit of a weird. Okay. Again, a bit of a weird one for Leeds for me. And sort of like don't get me wrong, we had a good time, but we realised pretty much straight away when we got set up with camp and everything that everyone around us was like 18.
Right.
And it was like we've got older, but the people that are coming to Leeds Fest haven't.
Yeah.
So it's like we've got older, but Leeds Fest has just stayed the same, sort of, but changed the music. So it's almost like there's a different group of kids going now than there was when I was going.
Yeah.
Like, it was all indie kids and rocker kids when I was going. But now it's roadmen with like the trackies and the bum bags on and like short back and sides everywhere, and you're like, what's going on? And it was
Leeds Fest was like a perfect combination of sort of the misfits and the sort of
absolutely
like, preppy sort of kids, because that lineup that you mentioned earlier, you had bands that appealed to both. Paramore had a huge following. I know quite a few of my mates that wouldn't ever really listen to sort of rock music the way that I listen to rock music.
But they feel like Paramore.
But they love Paramore. They love Biffy Clyro. They love
absolutely.
The sort of
there were loads on there that could sort of blur the lines. Like Dizzy Rascal, he's a rapper, but he resonated with a lot of me and my mates that were mainly into sort of indie music. It's because of his content, and he's he's a British guy and a lot of references.
I do feel like Leeds Fest was always a sort of rock festival.
Yeah, I'd say more rock than anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, Glastonbury was the sort of what was trending. It was who was like the top of their sort of game, kind of, so to speak. Yeah,
sorry, I just went to blow my nose and didn't want to do it live on pod.
Fair dues. But yeah, as I was saying,
why don't you start off? Tell us one of your favorite gigs.
So one of my favorite gigs, band that I have very much loved for quite some time now, a band called Incubus. So I saw them just before COVID when I was out visiting my sister in America.
Oh no!
They got me a ticket to go and see Incubus, and it was the 20th anniversary of one of their albums, I believe.
You don't sound very sure, but okay.
No, yeah, I think it was 20. Yeah, because it came out in like 1999, and I saw them in 2019. So yeah, it'd have been 20th anniversary of the album "Make Yourself," and it was really really cool. So the way they did it is when they were coming on stage, there was like this sort of 30-minute making of the album, like almost like a documentary.
Yeah.
And it would other bands, if other bands did it, I would kind of be a bit annoyed. But because it was the anniversary of that album, it was a nice little touch where like the lights all went out, this screen came on, and it showed the band 20 years ago, rehearsing, writing, like, recording the song and like talking about it. And then it showed the tours that they'd done sort of for the album. And like it built up this like moment of this is where we were 20 years ago. This is where we are now. Like, and I absolutely love that album. It's probably my favorite Incubus album. And they played every single song in order, which I found.
Oh, that's cool. They don't often do that, do they?
Yeah, they played it in order with these like live sort of drum sessions, or they have a DJ. Well, not DJ. I don't know what you'd call him, like mixer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The sort of like guy with the sort of DJ setup. He like did like a couple of like remixes like live, which was fucking amazing.
Yeah. Like doing sampling, some sounds, sampling, and then that's cool.
Like, it was just fantastic. And like they did every single song off the album, and then they did a bit of an encore where they did a few songs that weren't on the album, and it was just brilliant. Like I would love to sort of go back and watch that exact gig again.
Yeah, I bet.
Like, and even the sort of venue that I saw them at, I can't quite remember what it was called, but it was in Oklahoma City, and it was such a nice venue. Like it was so like breathable, and like you could walk around. And
was it indoor?
Yeah, it was an indoor.
Like a theatre.
Yeah, it weren't massive, like the building, but it just the way it was all laid out and like set up, it was just really well organized. Like I've been to some gigs where you can't fucking move half the time. You know what I mean? Like packed out gigs that personally I don't like it when they're completely packed out.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be honest, because of my sort of anxieties and stuff, I will stay towards the back and like sort of witness the like crowd, witness the band from further back. It's why I really like venues with balconies, because then that way I can sort of like lean over and watch the band.
Absolutely.
But
there's no right way to enjoy a band either. You know what I mean? If you want to be in a mosh pit, fine, you do that.
Exactly.
If you want to be at the back, like for a lot of the gigs that we saw when we were in Leeds, me and my mate, we just sit down on the grass with a beer, watch them on the screens. Not too bothered about getting too close for some of them.
Yeah.
But
that's it. That's what it's about.
The way we want to do it.
One of your favourite gigs?
The one I've got top of my list, because it stands out so much. It was, again, this was Leeds Fest 2010, and it was Blink-182. They were the headliners on, I think, the Saturday, and they'd been split up for about 10 years at this point, I think. And it was that year that they'd reformed and gone on like a big world tour, Reformation tour or whatever they call it. Watched them play. They've played a huge set for like an hour or whatever, and they were fucking spot on. But then at the end, this is like the real cherry on the cake for me. Travis Barker, the drummer, who I would argue is probably the best drummer of his generation.
He's definitely in that.
Up there. You know, he's phenomenal. And he did a drum solo for a good 10, 15 minutes where they strap him into his kit and then the stage lifts up and spins around and goes upside down and stuff while he's playing. And there's like lights and fireworks going off and stuff, and you're just watching him go absolutely ham on this drum kit, huge drum kit. And it's just like, I'm watching the best drummer in the world playing drums upside down. And I'm at Leeds Fest, and there's like 100,000 people here. It was just something I'll never, ever forget. Just unbelievable.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I did see Blink-182 when I was a kid. I went to like Radio 1's big weekend.
Cool.
They were playing that year. I also saw Outkast when I was there,
cool.
which was really cool. I think I was about 7, so I don't really remember that much.
Yeah.
But I do remember seeing Blink-182, and I do remember seeing Outkast. Can't tell you any of the bands that were there though. So one of my other favorites, a guy that I've been following for quite a while. He's an artist as well as a musician. He's a guy called Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, which is his 3rd band, I believe. It's a band that first 2 albums and their later stuff as well, I would say is sort of punk's equivalent of Arctic Monkeys.
Okay.
So this is about you are sorry.
Are they British?
Yeah.
Right, cool.
They're a British band. They sound very British.
Right.
Just their sound. I don't know how to, like, you're the musician, so you might be able to help me with this. But to me, there's a certain sound that when I hear it, it makes me think of Britain.
Yeah.
It's a sort of underground punk sound.
Yeah. It's hard to narrow down because you can track a lot of it back to like Britpop.
Yeah.
Where like there is a bit of that in Arctic Monkeys, and you hear some of their riffs or even just some of their lyrics, you're like, it's English as it comes.
Yeah.
Though. You know. Do you know whereabouts they're from?
Down south. Linchester?
Lincolnshire,
I think. Maybe Lincolnshire.
Okay.
I don't know. Not fully sure. He's a tattoo artist. I've kind of always wanted to be tattooed by him. But when I saw him live, they had 2 albums out. So the first album was called Rotten Blossom, which is a very punk album. It's phenomenal. Some absolute bangers on that album. And then they had their second album, which was called Acid Veins, I believe.
Take your word for that.
Modern Ruin, it was called. There was a song on there called Acid Veins. That's where they started to develop a bit more of a, I'd say, indie sound.
Okay, yeah.
But that album, again, is incredible because it has the same sort of punkish elements, but with more relaxed indie style.
Who's that? Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, you say?
Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes.
I'll check them out.
Definitely do. So when I saw them, they only had those 2 albums out, and the tour was called the 23 Tour because they played all 23 songs off both albums, not in any particular order. They did it in ways that certain songs that complemented each other sort of went next to each other, and did it sort of that way. So they did like a bit of an acoustic set in between, where they did like the slower numbers.
Yeah.
I personally believe that after seeing him live, I personally believe that Frank Carter is probably one of the best frontmen in modern rock, because of his energy, because of his sort of the way he interacts with the crowd, the sort of like confidence that he has. You know, he's a huge like sort of inspiration of mine. in terms of these sort of like musical things. And seeing him live that night was just mind blowing.
Yeah, cool. Next one on my list. It was a kind of a surprise one. Again, it was a festival. This was Benicassim Festival. It's a tiny little festival by comparison to Leeds in Spain. Went for, again, another stag do. I love to do a festival for a stag do, apparently. And I think it was on the second day. Like the lineup again was brilliant. Probably better than what we just had for Leeds. Like, it was Liam Gallagher, the Killers, Catfish and the Bottlemen, the Vaccines, the Maccabees. Got a proper good list. But yeah, the Killers. They were headlining, I think, on the Saturday night, and we'd already watched a couple play earlier on. I think maybe Catfish had been on that day, and we're all still hanging around, and we're like, oh yeah, we like the Killers. We'll watch them. Then they came out, and it's probably the best live performance I've ever seen.
Yeah,
just incredible. Like the proper performers. Like one of those bands that sound better live than they do on their singles or their albums or anything, which really surprised me because I had no frame of reference. I've never seen them live. I'm not sure I'd ever spoken to anybody about seeing them live. I had no idea what to expect, but they were just incredible. And it's weird, like you forget how many like just banging songs they've got. Like,
yeah,
a lot of people say like probably the first two albums are the best, and they've not really recaptured that same sort of thing since then, which I think is fair. But they played a lot of stuff from their early albums, and it was so good. And then for one of the songs, I forget which song, but they must do this at every gig. But they got up like 4 or 5 people from the audience, someone on drums, someone on guitar, someone on vocals, bass, and all that. And then the band just sat at the side while they played their song for them. It was brilliant. It's so good.
That's kind of a cool way of doing like audience participation, but also like if I'd paid good money to see that band, I'd be like, no, what the fuck is this? I don't want a fucking lesson in the gig.
To be fair, like when you see them pulling them up, and I was speaking to the guy that got up and played guitar. He was a Spanish guy, and I was speaking to him earlier on in the night just by chance. Because I saw he had a sign saying, I'm a guitarist, will you let me play? And I'm like, oh, who's that sign for? And he's like, oh, it's the Killers. They always let people get up and play when they perform. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I saw him get up. I'm like, oh, that's my boy. I know him. Like, he's getting up and playing.
Him.
And he was.
I went to school with
him. And we're all like, when someone gets up from the crowd, and they're given, when the guitarist hands you his guitar, and it's worth like $3,000 or whatever the guitar is, and you're like, Jesus Christ. And he's on stage and he's playing, and everyone gets behind them and backs them and wants them to do well. Yeah. And they do. They fucking nail it, and you're like they've been waiting their whole lives for this, and that was just perfect.
That is cool.
And then to top it all off, the encore, because they finished the songs, went off, and we're all chanting, one more song. And the whole stage is pitch black, and out of nowhere there's a beam of light, and there he is, Brandon Flowers, in a gold sequined suit with like big platforms on.
You mentioned this
before. And then they play I think it was I'm the Man, which is it's such a good tune, and he's just like strutting around the stage. And ever since then I've got a newfound respect for the Killers. And
fair dues. I mean,
absolutely brilliant.
I do love that first album that they did. It is one of my favorite albums, and I have, I don't dislike the band. I just don't really like what they do anymore. It just doesn't appeal to me. I have heard that they're brilliant live. You saw them. I
would recommend, if you do get the chance, definitely go and see them live, because they're not going to be playing loads of the new stuff. They stick to mainly the hits. I think anybody would have a fucking brilliant time watching the Killers. Like I said, most of us weren't even big fans, and they fucking blew us away.
Right. So one of my next gigs that I went to see was a British band called Enter Shikari.
Oh.
Yes. So I saw him at the Manchester Victoria Warehouse back in, I think it was 2016.
Yeah.
So it was quite a while ago. And they were amazing. They were a band that I kind of fell in and out of love with through the years. Like I really liked the early stuff, and then they started releasing stuff that I was a bit like, it comes across as a bit preachy. Now I fucking
they
love
sort of
that
lost their
preachy
identity for a little while, didn't they? Like,
yeah. Well, I don't think they ever did. I think because their music now, like some of it's not great. So there's one album in particular that I can't listen to.
Yeah.
But there's like 2 songs on there that I don't mind, but everything else is just a bit. Their best album, in my opinion, is probably Flashlight of Color. But we saw them, and it was the Minesweeper tour, which that's a good album. And it was such an amazing gig. They did a lot of early stuff. So they did Sorry You're Not a Winner, which is probably their first major hit that they had in the UK. And they were amazing, brilliant light show. And at one point, like I say, I prefer sitting or standing sort of further back. And my mate sort of stood with me. And at one point, like a bunch of security guys like ran past us, and we're just there holding our drinks, like, what the fuck? And next minute, the main singer runs past us and is like taken through the crowd.
Cool.
And I didn't realize, because we were stood at the back, at the center of the crowd was a piano, and he came on and did Dear Future Historians and Constellations, like sort of back to back.
Yeah.
And like played the piano throughout it all. And then it ends on like a fanfare. And he actually stood up on the piano and played a fanfare with a trumpet. And it was absolutely amazing. It was such a brilliant gig. I also saw another band that I really like there called King Blues.
I love the King Blues, man. Saw them at Leeds 2010. Yeah, man.
Like, you saw them this weekend?
No, 2010.
Oh, 2010.
Leeds Fest 2010, yeah. And in fact, Enter Shikari were there at Leeds 2010 and the weekend just gone. In fact, they were one of the headliners, I think, for the weekend just gone. They were good. I'd not listened to them for a long time, so a lot of the songs I didn't recognise. But when the old ones came on, like the look of recognition with the lads, like you look around. Like,
so which old songs did they do?
Oh God, you're testing me now, man. I'd have to check me Spotify. It's whatever their like biggest songs are.
Right.
Most, well, you know, like fucking. It's been so long.
Fair news. We can touch on it.
Know what I mean. Yeah. But my next one, let's see. Yeah, a bit of a more sentiment, this one, than it being an amazing gig. Like, it was a good gig, but so it was J Bug. I saw him do an acoustic set just before lockdown. So it would have been, I think it was October 2019, at our local theatre in Blackburn, the King George's Hall.
Yeah.
So really intimate gig, acoustic set, literally just him and a guitar on stage. And the reason it was so special to me is that, obviously, you mentioned I'm a musician, and some of the first songs that I learned to play on guitar and sing at the same time were J Bug songs.
Yeah.
So seeing them played by, the guy that wrote them, and how they were supposed to be played, and listening to it live, that was brilliant. And cheap gig as well. I think it was like 18 quid for the ticket. It's a great like Thursday night little show to go to, and really once I'd seen him do that, it was brilliant. But straight away afterwards, I was like, right, I want to see him with a band now, though. I want to see him on an electric guitar with a band behind him, and see what he can really do. So yeah, I loved that, and like, so that's not really my last one. I've got a couple of mentions I just want to mention afterwards, but yeah, if you've got any more, go for it.
I've got Deftones, obviously.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bands. I'm not going to touch on it too much because I feel like I could go on a massive rant. Not rant, that's the wrong word. Go on a massive sort of tangent. But it was amazing seeing them live. It was sort of, unfortunately, it was during their sort of Gore tour, which album wasn't. It's good, but it's not the best.
Not your favorite, yeah.
No, and they did play a few songs from the album, but once I heard it live, I was a bit like, kind of appreciate it a bit more. Amazing band to see live. Sound very close to like they do on the album. Obviously, because it is metal, it doesn't sound as polished, which, that is one of the things with metal is, there's always, you're going to struggle to find a metal band that sounds polished live.
Yeah, I think that's just part of the genre, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but amazing, absolutely amazing. And then surely you have one more.
Yeah, so really, I wanted to do just touch slightly on. I already have kind of, but Arctic Monkeys at Leeds Fest just gone. Best Arctic Monkeys gig I've seen. They were fucking phenomenal. But yeah, I just wanted to touch slightly on how I'm not going to go back to Leeds.
Not going back to Leeds Fest.
I will never go back to Leeds Fest. Like I mentioned before, with all the kids, we're looking around and realizing that we're too old for it now, really. And with the way that the acts are changing, it's sort of bringing in a different kind of person. So that's such a huge thing for a festival. Is the artists set the tone for the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think maybe if we do go to another festival, we'll probably do something like Glastonbury, maybe.
See, I really want to go to Download.
Yeah. See, the only thing for Download for me, I don't know if I'm into enough of that music for it to be worth it for me.
To be fair, a lot of the bands that most recently, a lot of the bands that were on, there were a lot of my sort of bands that I would compare to like easy listening rock, like my Mastodons and stuff like that. Which I mean, we're looking at going down. So if you ever want to come down with us, you're more than welcome. My last favorite gig was a band that I have mentioned before on the podcast called Uncle Acid and the Dead Beats. Was an amazing gig. They're from Glasgow, I believe. And they're a bit of a sort of, I would call them like doom metal or something like that, because all their songs are a bit like, they all sound like they've come from some sort of horror comic book. And it just sounds great. Like when they came on stage, because they've all got like long hair and beards, they all have this like Charles Manson look to them. I did feel like I was there to be indoctrinated a little bit, which I love. Kudos for trying. But it was just such an amazing gig. They didn't really address that they were leaving. They just sort of got to the end of their song and walked off.
And then left.
Nice. The lights came up and we were just like, oh.
Yeah, it's a big dick move, that. I like
that. But yeah, they were brilliant.
Just realised I've missed one of my notes here. So are you familiar with the band Cypress Hill?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw them live at Leeds and they were brilliant. they had the whole crowd going. They were on at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Obviously, not one of the bigger acts. But yeah, they had everybody going. They were really good. And then the one that came out after them was Weezer.
Oh yeah,
and surprisingly good live. Like, because they're kind of like geek rock, aren't they? In a way, Weezer. Yeah. And the main dude proper looks like a little geek, thick glasses, and he's little and skinny and stuff. But he was climbing up the rigging at the side and sat on the top of it, literally probably like, I don't know, 60, 70 feet in the air. And you could see all the security guys at the bottom absolutely losing their minds, thinking, oh shit, if he falls, like, he's dead.
What are we insured?
And like the cameras were zooming in on him, showing him up on the big screens and that. Like, he's absolutely fearless, that guy. That was brilliant. Yes, that was just my last little mention for that. Have you any more to mention, or are we moving on to our next section?
No more to mention. I've seen quite a few gigs. Some that have been weirdly enjoyable. I have seen Lana Del Rey. So I went to see Lana Del Rey as well when I was in America last time. And she was also great. I bet
that's a nice chill gig.
Not an artist I was ever expecting to see. You know?
Like, sometimes though, they can surprise you, can't they? That's the beauty of a festival, man.
That's it. I've never actually been to a festival.
Oh man, yeah, it's good as well because you've got the whole festival vibe. Like, everybody's there to have a good time. You very rarely see any sort of arguments or like fights. You didn't see any altercations both times that I've been. Love it, absolutely love it. Festivals are just the best. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that takes us on to our next section. And in fact, before we do that, we'll go for a little break.
Go for a little break. All right, and we're back. So we're going on to my sort of Nocebo verse, and I'm not actually going to be talking about the Nocebo verse.
No,
Liam. Take that look off your face, my boy. I'm talking. I don't know where that came from. I'm talking about my second novel, which is called Freaks Among Us. Part 1 is actually now published on my Patreon. Now, please bear with me because there are a few sort of grammatical errors and stuff, but it is the bulk of my work. It works out at about 52 chapters, all of which you can read for free. If you like it, you can leave comments and let me know little bits that I might need to edit, but it's available for free on my Patreon to read, and it's all about an alternate history where mutants...
I like that. So what you're saying is that you're using the readers or the listeners to basically vet your work for free? I like your style, man.
Look, like, people pay Spike. What's he called? No, not Spike. What's he called?
I don't know. What are you talking about?
The guy from the police.
What, Sting?
Sting, that's it. I knew it was something pointy.
Spike?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Sting, he pays people to go and pick his grapes for his vineyard. No, people pay him, sorry. People pay him to go and pick his grapes.
What? So people pay him?
Yeah, to go and stay on his vineyard and pick grapes.
Is that a euphemism?
No, well.
Never know with Sting.
Could
or
be.
Spike.
Spike, because he's down there.
The bigger formula known as Sting.
I knew it began with an S, and it was. Yeah. But yeah, so Freaks Among Us, it's set in a alternate history where World War II didn't happen, or at least not the way that it happened for us.
Okay, cool.
A lot of it focuses on the sort of racial issues, but through a sort of probably very poor man's metaphor of mutants,
Okay, yeah.
sort of thing. But I've tried to write it in a sort of almost comic booky way, because when I first envisioned the sort of story, I envisioned it as a graphic novel. The main character is called TV Head, but I'll say no more on that.
Does he have a TV as a head?
He does have a TV for a head.
Thank you. Okay, good.
There is a sort of reason behind it. So in the Freaks Among Us universe, parents that had freak children, so children with like some sort of weird mutant appendage, they would often get named after the mutation.
Like Blender Arm.
Yeah, well, more like Duckbill Jones.
Right, okay. So Duckbill.
Duckbill.
Okay. Yeah.
So there is a sort of, and his last name was already Head. So his parents were called Head. It was just a cruel irony.
So it's not like they're going to call him TV Head.
Head. His name's just TV.
Just TV. Head. Yeah, Head. Yeah, Mr. Head.
Mr. Head. So check that out. If you like it, let us know. If you spot any errors, let us know. And
like and subscribe.
Thank you. That's it. Freaks Among Us. I'll leave it on the thing.
Sweet. And that brings us on to our next topic for today, which is a bit of a little fun one. We tend to do something a bit like this every week. This one has been lovingly titled Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Bean Bloods. So, correct me if I'm wrong, because obviously you came up with today's script, so correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea here is we're building a crew to pull off a heist.
Yeah.
We've got specific roles that need filling, so I'll just go through those quickly now. So we've got an infiltrator, we've got guy in the van, although I put van/chair, because he could be in an office or whatever. You got muscle, we've got the safe cracker, we've got distraction, and of course the getaway driver. And the idea is that we're pulling off this heist, and we're each going to choose a different. Have you gone for video game currency?
Yeah. So
so we've each chosen a different video game currency. Yeah, and we've also got a little graph that somehow breaks down it's the exchange rates basically for all the different video game currencies, which is a really nice touch. I quite like that, so we can actually see when the job's pulled off, who has earned the most, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's cool. We'll kick it off, and I want to hear who you've got for your infiltrator.
Classic Agent 47.
Okay, it's a good shout.
Agent
Master
47,
of disguise.
Master of disguise, master of cool. You want somebody that, if everything's going to go to shit. So one thing you didn't touch on is the scenario. We have a 10-minute window where we can pull it off perfectly. Otherwise, all hell is going to break loose. And we're going to be basically wanted fugitives. So part of this isn't just who have you picked, it's how successful are you actually going to be using that character's sort of like style and stats. So I've gone for Agent 47. Not played by...
I think it's a great shout, because not played by
me, played by somebody else.
Somebody that's really good. Yeah, really good hitman. Okay, yeah. Well, I've got a slightly different route, but I think just as effective. I've gone for Sam Fisher.
Okay.
What's it called? Splinter Cell guy.
Splinter Cell, yeah.
Yeah. Like, the thing is with Sam Fisher, you'd never see him. You wouldn't, if you were one of the guards, you wouldn't see him coming, because he'd be in the shadows, or he'd be hiding up above you. Or he'd just shoot.
Really like them games.
They need. Do you know how long it's been since we had a Splinter Cell game?
2008 was the last one.
I think it was 13. 2013, I think, was the last one.
Conviction.
Yeah, was it Convictions or was it?
It was the
what was
one
the
where his
co-op?
daughter got kidnapped.
Yeah, is that the co-op one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, so 9 years it's been. But do you know what's a frigging joke? It's like, oh, you can be him in Fortnite,
Yeah.
or like I think he turned up in Ghost Recon Badlands or Wildlands, whatever it's called, as well. It's like, well, that's bullshit.
Well,
I want a fucking Splinter Cell game.
they are supposedly working on a Splinter Cell game,
Apparently.
Which I'm sure I've read somewhere that they've said it was going to be open world, which I'm not 100% sure why they would go that route. Just have tight knit levels of like open ended levels, a bit like Dishonored, where you can navigate like Dishonored and Hitman, two perfect examples of how you could do that justice. No, that's a good shout. I feel like, again, played by somebody else, he would get you
in. Who said I'm not good at stealth games? Huh?
You did.
Yeah, I absolutely would have someone else played it because I'm good with stealth up to a certain point, but yeah, I like it when hell breaks loose. So yeah, who have you got in the van/chair?
Wrench from Watch Dogs 2.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, with the mask.
With the mask.
Yeah.
He's a sort of master hacker. He's a bit of a punk.
Yeah.
He's
kind of funny as well. He's got a good sense of humor.
Yeah. So definitely him. I feel like he'd be able to hack the system and get me maybe a bit more time.
Yeah.
Than my sort of 10-minute window. So I think him on my side would be quite beneficial.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. Yeah, it's like he shows in Watch Dogs 2 that he's sort of an anarchist as well, which I kind of like as well. It's like sort of his attitude that really comes through in his style. So yeah, I think that's a good shout. I'm not sure how well him and Agent 47 would get on. There might be a bit of something there, but you know.
Oh, there's a really sort of out there shout in a bit.
Oh yeah. I've got a few. So my guy in the chair, I'm going to go for Lester from GTA 5 because he, again, the same sort of vibe. Like he's really good at that sort of thing. He does that for you in GTA 5 quite a lot. He's the guy in the chair doing the hacking or whatever. I actually downloaded it not so long ago, and I've been playing through the campaign, and I'd completely forgotten about that mission early on where you get that guy, you swap that guy's phone, or you put something in that guy's prototype phone.
Yeah.
He's basically like Facebook or whatever, and he's on the phone on TV while he's making the speech, and then it explodes and kills him. Love that shit. And yeah, I think so. He would help as well if shit hit the fan. He's been in that situation before. So
yeah.
And he's kind of funny as well.
That's it. Like, I do like some of the online though is quite annoying because you hear the same one again and again and again and again. Whereas like when you're playing the story mode, they're like crucial to what's happening in the story. Whereas like now it's like, hey, I've got a big heist coming on. Do you want in?
Yeah.
Fuck's sake, Lester. Like, do you remember when on GTA 4 when your cousin would always ring you up being like, hey, go bowling?
Hey, do you want to go bowling? Jesus Christ, man.
Like, get over friends.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the worst thing about that game.
So, who have you got for Muscle?
Muscle. I've gone for the Muscle. I've got the Incredible Hulk. In fact, Dr. Hulk, or whatever they call him, Smart Hulk. So the one from Endgame where he's infused Banner and Hulk. So he's got the strength, but he's got the know-how as well.
Okay.
That's the muscle right there.
Is he technically a video game character?
Well, you can play him in Avengers.
Can you?
Yeah.
What, Smart Hulk?
He's one of the main. He's. Oh well. All right. You could get one of the cosmetics turns him into Smart Hulk. Or I'll just have normal Hulk.
Well, to be fair, I feel like normal Hulk, police.
Yeah, he's gonna do his job.
Yeah, bash bitch.
Yeah, he's got the muscle. If shit does hit the fan, who else would you want? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Just got Hulk.
And plus, he could do the job of the safecracker as well.
Yeah, actually, yeah, he could. And the distraction.
Perfect. Even better.
Yeah. Absolutely. Beat that. Go on, who have you got for muscle?
I've got for muscle Alex Mercer from the Prototype games.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like that.
So
he's got a few little skills as well, actually. He could help you with infiltrating as well.
One of the cool things that I really liked in the Prototype game was some of the effects that you could use to sort of for defense. So in the first one, you had this armor suit, and you could use your biomass to increase your muscle mass.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Punch people. I mean, you would obliterate every single person you punched, but they're video game cops. It's fine. They have no pension.
Yeah, and we're pulling off a heist. People are going to get hurt.
Only if shit hits the fan.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure shit's going to hit the fan with mine, but I'm prepared for that, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's another good shout, and like I say, he can eat people and then look and then take on their appearance.
That'd make it good for the getaway.
Well, it helps with the infiltration as well, I would say. You can just walk in.
That is true. But I feel like Agent 47 would have to make sure that he's got a gun that's designed to take him down in case he goes rogue.
Yeah. Yeah, he'd have a backup, wouldn't he? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good shout. So now the next one, so Safecracker. I sort of struggled a little bit on this because, there was only one game that came to mind where you can actually crack a safe. So in Last of Us Part 2, obviously there's safes all over the place, and you can find the codes to them and just pop them in. But if you wanted, what I used to do was I used to put headphones in and just crack the safe. It makes a different click when it gets to the right number.
Okay.
So I just did that. And so for my safe cracker, I've gone for Ellie from The Last of Us. I think she's good under pressure. She's used to high risk situations. She can crack safes. And if shit hits the fan, I think she's pretty reliable,
Yeah. And if it turns out that shit hits the fan and it's zombies.
Exactly. She's step back, I got this shit.
Yeah. I've gone for Corvo from Dishonored.
See, yeah, similar sort of idea there. Yeah, I forgot that there were safes in Dishonored. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you crack the safe though, or do you have to find the codes?
No, I think you can crack them. But I'm not 100% sure.
I don't think you can.
But you can use logic.
They're 3D. Yeah, you can always find the code to it. There's always something there. I suppose that's a skill in itself, sort of the investigation side of things.
Exactly. So yeah, I picked him, and plus he's got some cool powers.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Yeah.
Yeah. What's next? The
distraction. This one, I'm interested to see who you've got. Who have you got for your distraction?
I've got Deslin Rowe from Infamous.
Oh, the main dude.
Yeah, the main dude with the multiple powers.
Yeah, fair enough. I suppose you could do electricity stuff, take out the power and stuff.
No, I'm on about the dude that has the smoke ability and then neon and TV and concrete.
Oh right, yeah. He's from the reboot, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, again,
Switch
out because he's got multiple skills.
More powers.
Yeah. No, it's a good shout. I've gone a completely different direction with mine. You want to see?
I want to see like an Infamous online. I think that would be really fun.
Oh, no. Nah. Just another single player Infamous for me. Do away with the online.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I reckon it would be quite fun.
Yeah, I think stuff like that, it always loses a bit of the sheen when it goes from like a single player to a multiplayer. Like was it Elder Scrolls and like Fallout 76? Just something sort of missing for me on that. But then again, I've never been big on online multiplayer anyway. But yeah, my distraction, completely different route from you. I think you should like this as well. It's Lady Dimitrescu from, is it Resi 7 or Resi 8?
Oh, Resi 8 Village.
The 8. Yeah, the tall lady with the huge nails. Big long nails she's got. Yeah, I think I think just the fact that she's like a 8-foot tall woman with huge nails. I think she's very
vampire.
Yeah.
So you've got to make sure that you're doing this heist at night.
Oh, it will be, yeah. Because we've got Sam Fisher. He needs darkness and shadows. It's going to be at night.
Okay, so you're going for a nighttime heist.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
And if there's any guards there, and most of them are going to be blokes, and they just, they'll be so distracted by Lady Dimitrescu with her huge nails.
That lady's nails.
Yeah, a little bit smutty, but dude, yeah, I think she'd work. And again, when shit hits the fan, like she can fucking rip a dude in half, can't she?
I don't know. Not played it.
No, me either.
Maybe she just knits them to death.
Possibly. Maybe she
nails.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I think she's a good enough distraction for me.
Fair enough. So who have you got as your getaway driver?
So I actually had a question about this because you didn't specify where this heist was. So for me, this heist is in space or another planet or something. And my getaway driver is Han Solo. And of course, with Han Solo comes the Millennium Falcon. Oh yeah, fastest ship in the parsec.
Okay, so fair news. I'll let you off on technicality because I had planned it, but okay. But I suppose.
Yeah, and to be fair, like, have you seen the Solo film? Like, there's bits in that where he is basically driving. He's being a getaway driver, and he is a good driver. So even if you deny me, a ship, I would still be happy with him behind the wheel of a car.
Yeah, fair dues.
I think, yeah. And he's got the pants as well. And I want it to be old Han Solo. I don't want it to be young Han Solo.
Yeah, no, young Han
Solo. Old, decrepit Han Solo, yeah. What about you? Who's your driver?
Batman.
Oh, that's good. In the Batmobile, of course.
Yeah, but like a pimped out.
Well, yeah, if you get the Batmobile, then yeah, I'm definitely getting the. If you've got a Batmobile, I've got
I just have to convince Batman that, like, are you in on this heist? Like, no.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Like, you know who I am, right? Yeah, but we're robbing it from these guys, and these guys are the worst.
I suppose, yeah, if you could dress it up like you're saving the world or something like that, yeah. Which you're not, by the way. It's just for monetary gain. So why one of the richest men in the world would be up for it? Bit questionable, but I'll let it slide.
Mr. Robot.
Oh yeah, and what are you stealing?
What am I stealing?
What are you stealing?
I'm stealing gold Mario coins.
Oh, okay. How many?
I'm going to try and steal 6 duffel bags worth containing.
Okay, so what? One duffel bag each?
Yeah, one duffel bag each.
Yeah.
So.
And how much is in a duffel bag?
So that's 6. Oh, for fuck's sake! I didn't think this far ahead. What do you think of duffel bag?
Well, I'll tell you mine then. So mine's going to be barrels of rupees.
Barrels of rupees.
Barrels of rupees, yeah. The Hulk alone will be able to carry about probably 12 of these barrels. He'll put them in a big net and just carry the net with them all in. And the rupees that are in them are the black ones, which I think are worth 500 rupees, something like that. So from what the Hulk's carrying alone, you're looking at around 1 billion rupees. Yeah, I think that's our aim. Yeah, about 1 billion rupees, yeah. And then anything above that is like bonus. You know, anything above that's just gravy, really. That's our target, with an even split between us all.
Okay, so I've just quickly tried to throw a ballpark number out. 250 each in the duffel bags.
Okay, yeah, and there's 6 of them, so that's what 15,000.
Should have done this beforehand.
Yeah, it's 15,000. Yeah.
Times 6.
Or was it 1,500?
1,500.
Yeah.
Times.
Doesn't sound like 1 billion rupees, I've got to say. Batman's going to be like, this is the worst heist I've ever been on.
Right. So I'd be stealing, let me just double check my maths. So, yeah.
Great podcasting this, by the way.
Yeah, I know. So, my grand total based on would be to steal 15 million in euros when I flog the Mario coins off after I've taken them to the fence. I would be getting back a cut of 15 million, and that's based on the euro.
Okay. And so what can you see on there what that translates to in rupees?
So
Legend of Zelda, by the way. Probably should have mentioned that.
Bear with me 2 seconds. So a rupee, the value. You know, a really easy way that I could find this, just go into the fucking chat.
Yeah.
Right, so rupees.
Yeah.
Rupee, let me find euro. Oh, here we go. 0.09633.
What 1 rupee is?
The equivalent of that in euro.
Right, so it's about 9 cents. But I've got 1 billion of them.
So
1 billion rupees. So it's
1 billion.
Yeah.
How many do you think fit a barrel?
All right, okay. So the 500 a pop because there's different coloured rupees. So the top one's 500, I think.
No. But we're talking real world value at this point.
I know. But you're saying how many's in a barrel?
Yeah.
So I reckon there's probably 100 of these in each barrel. So that's what 500,000 per barrel. The Hulk's got 12 barrels, so that's 6 million. Okay, yeah, maybe not quite 1 billion. So we've got 6 million from the Hulk. Then everyone else has got 1 each, which is another 500 grand. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So another 2.5 million, 8.5 million euros. So yeah, you may have got more, but yeah, okay.
It was worth stealing the Mario coin, selling it on to the Nintendo fans, create a black market for it. How do you think our heists went?
Well, I'm just looking at mine now, and I think I am better set up for a more stealthy operation.
Yeah.
The only one that really doesn't fit into that is probably the Hulk.
Yeah.
And maybe the giant lady of Lady Dimitrescu. But I think the rest of them can be quite stealthy. Whereas with yours, I think you probably edge it because I think you've got the stealth down, but then when the shit hits the fan, pretty much every one of yours can hold their own. So I'm happy to concede defeat on that. I think you've out-heisted me.
I do think that Batman may just point blank refuse to drive though, and it'd be like me.
Yeah, or possibly he might just get you all arrested. You know, he might just be playing both sides. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I don't do this.
You may win.
So, yeah, there is that possibility. Yeah,
you may win by default there. Maybe Batman can message in and let us know how he feels about being involved in it.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, please do, Batman.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that was a pretty successful heist, to be honest.
Yeah, it was fun.
Right, next topic.
So next we have cursed games that become fun somehow.
Wow.
And yeah, I'll let you take it away with this. Go on, give us an example of a cursed game and why you think it has become fun, or yeah.
So by cursed games, I mean a game that is practically unplayable. You're not able to really recommend it to anyone because it kind of shows a bad level of gaming.
Yeah.
So in that respect, it's games like one of the examples that I think I sent to you was like Goat Simulator. So basically, you know, there are these games that occasionally you will find, and you fundamentally can't justify playing, like spending time playing them, because they are just either overly complicated, difficult to play, buggy, or whatever. But yet, you can easily find yourself playing hours of it if you're not sort of like when you're in that period of when you've just completed something and you're like looking for something else to play, but you don't really want to commit to anything, and you'll go back and you'll just play like a game that takes you maybe like 4 years to actually complete, but it's only purely because it's just a meh game. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think there's different ways to interpret as well. Like what makes a game cursed. Like it could be the actual mechanics of the game are just freaking broken or not very good. You know, so the one that the one that sprung to mind anyway was it was a PS3 exclusive title called Lair. It's like a dragon riding game. And the concept was really cool. It's like fantasy stuff. You play this dragon rider that's in an army, and you'd have these huge battles. So you'd be going up against other dragon riders, but you could also land and like take out, you know, like swathes of little army men on the ground and like set them on fire or whatever. Like really cool concept. Now, the reason it's cursed is when you're flying the dragon, you can only control it with the old 6-axis control.
Oh,
do you remember, like it's so like the motion control that they introduced on the PS3.
No.
Oh, it was awful.
I fucking hate it.
I remember I bought the game, had no idea that it had this feature at all, and as well, you couldn't turn it off, so you had no choice but to control the dragon with, you know, moving your hands around. Oh, it was painful. But because I was a kid at the time, didn't have loads of money, you know, I couldn't well be like, oh, this game's a bit crap, I'm never going to play this again, I'll buy something else. No, that was it. Like that was the game for the month or whatever. So I had to, you know, it's like I had to play it. And once you sort of get your head around they are terrible motion controls. Once you get your head around that, And there's a lot to be enjoyed there. Like, I remember there being these really cool animations. So when you say if you come up behind another dragon, like while you're in the air, you could get your guy to jump off of his dragon, land onto the other one, kill the dragon rider, and then kill the dragon, and then jump off again, and your dragon would catch you, and then you fly off and carry on.
To be fair, I never played it. I don't really know. Didn't even really hear much about it, to be fair. An example for me. An example for me would probably be Shadow the Hedgehog. When it first came out as a kid, I went back and like played it a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's not a good game. It's not. It's horrible.
Which one is it? Just called Shadow the Hedgehog? Or...
Yeah. So it was released in like 2006, maybe earlier, and basically it's a Sonic but on a dark timeline. So there's like his shadow clone called Shadow. I
remember that. Do you start off as Sonic in the storyboard, and then it introduces Shadow? Or has Shadow already been introduced at this point in another game?
Oh, Shadow's already been introduced in another game.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
He's already established.
Was it more of a? Am I right in saying it was more of like a beat 'em up?
Yeah.
Than a Sonic game. Yeah.
There were like you could have guns in it and stuff.
Yeah, I do remember this game. Yeah. That is fucking cursed, man. Jesus.
But I was like, as a teenager, like, it would have been about 13 or something when I played it. I kind of loved it because it was like a crossover of sort of like
it was. Yeah. It was like Max Payne meets Sonic.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was like, and I loved it. But I would never recommend it to anyone.
Oh yeah, no, it's a good shout. Oh God, yeah. That's a really funny one. One that I wanted to touch on slightly, and I don't think it's cursed, because I do think it's a genuinely good game. But there's a few bits that you need to sort of get over. I think you mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but Death Stranding. Like a lot of people would like hate the fact that it is genuinely a walking simulator. Like that's one of the mechanics, is making sure that he carries on walking and not falling on his face. The reason I'd say it's cursed is for the stupidly long cutscenes, the horrible dialogue, even the performances are pretty fucking shit. You know what I mean? It's like mechanically it's a sound game, but everything else is like, ugh, come on. Anything that's slightly to do with the story just makes me want to shoot myself.
Well, do you know one thing that I found really jarring was the placement of the monster cans everywhere.
Yeah, it's
like,
weird, man.
It was,
and they're not even in the game anymore. So if you get the director's cut, they're not in it anymore because the licensing deal ran out. So now it's just some weird generic one that they've come up with. It's so weird, man.
Weird, yeah.
So fucking weird.
Like, it was a weird partnership. And I mean, I agree with you. I don't think it's cursed. I think it's exactly what Hideo Kojima wanted to make. And I think
it's a cursed man.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think a lot of fans kind of expected it to be what it was.
That's it. It's a Kojima game, isn't it? Yeah.
You know, but I do know what you're saying. Like an honorable mention for me is, as much as I love the Dark Souls series, I can't complete Demon Souls. Not Demon Souls, the very first Dark Souls.
All right, yeah.
Like
they are cursed games. Every FromSoft game is a cursed game.
They are, but beautifully.
Anyway.
I love the Elden Ring game. They're all so brilliant. Any more cursed games, Liam?
Nothing comes to mind. Well, there's plenty. Like you could. We mentioned before recording Cyberpunk 2077. Obviously, the launch date that it came out in, particularly on previous gen, meant that it was unplayable for a lot of people. But you know, the consensus is these days with the updates and the patches and everything, it supposedly runs well, even on previous gen. Apparently, maybe I should get it, but for my Series S. You know, a bit more powerful console, maybe a bit quicker. Maybe it'll cut out some of the issues that I had. Because in all regards to it now, it's getting 8 out of 10s all over the place. So
yeah. I mean, CD Projekt Red, I trust them to eventually deliver a solid game, but it's one of those they get a bit cash hungry, I think, and just sort of rush its production.
I think because it had been pushed back so many times.
Well, they announced it way before it, like back when it was just a concept.
I think it was 2013 they first announced it, and there was like a little 30-second cinematic,
which was a beautiful cinematic.
Oh yeah, but we didn't see anything else of it for another 7 years, and then it's like, yeah, I don't know. Like the thing that I always come back to is that they knew full well how it ran on previous gen consoles.
Yeah,
but they sent it out anyway. People had pre-ordered this game, myself included. Like it's the last game that I pre-ordered, and the only one in memory that I can think of that I pre-ordered, apart from maybe GTA 5. But that was like original, like on PS3. So that was like 8 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
9 years ago, maybe. And yeah, so they knew the state that it was in, but they sent it out anyway. And that for me, that's criminal. Yeah. And I think it's a long road back for them. CD Projekt Red, and they're not there yet for me. Until we get another Witcher that's really really good. Then yeah, they're in my bad books.
And you don't want to be in our bad books.
No, you do not. We'll tell our 7 listeners about you, and you'll be in the shit.
And the access we have to the Hulk, Batman,
absolutely,
and Agent 47. Just a quick side note on that. I'd love a crossover between Batman and Agent 47.
Yeah.
Like, it would be so cool. Like, Agent 47's hired to kill Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Like,
yeah. My money's on Batman, though. Agent 47's just a man.
To be fair, I feel like they would come to like an understanding.
Yeah, possibly. I think, like there could be some sort of final showdown.
They'd realise both the parents are
I think yeah, that's enough to cement any relationship, isn't it? Yeah.
Like,
wait, we have the same. My mother has the same name. Oh, well, I'm not going to stab you now, then.
But yeah.
Yeah. Go on, hit me with your closing hypothetical. I know you're quite happy this week's.
Yeah. So, 2 options: stay for tea at Hannibal Lecter's.
Okay.
Or drinks out with Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh God! So when you say go around for tea to Hannibal Lecter's, does that mean he's going to eat me? Or
no.
Does it just mean he's going to be feeding me human?
He's going to be feeding you. No, not necessarily human.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those. There's a chance.
Yeah, okay.
So the percentage is that stay fit to eat Hannibal Lecters and 50% chance that you're going to eat human meat.
Right.
Drinks with Jeffrey Dahmer, but there's a 75% chance that you may witness a murder.
But it wouldn't be me getting murdered.
It wouldn't be you getting murdered, and it wouldn't be you being eaten.
I think that's quite easy. I'd go to Hannibal Lecter's for tea. Mainly because I've always wanted to try human.
Okay, that's
why not?
Interesting.
I've heard we're quite tasty.
Apparently, we take pork.
Yeah, that's like the closest thing. And they say that the tastiest, like most tender meat on us is on our fingers. Apparently, it's like I can just imagine having like tucking into it like a rack of ribs.
Oh man! Nobody else got that image out my head.
See, I'd be okay with that, but yeah, I think witnessing Jeffrey Dahmer murder somebody, I don't know. I don't think I'd get over that.
No, see, the thing is, with the Hannibal Lecter option, you could go and just like ask for a vegetarian option.
Yeah, it's like I'm vegan. Can I have a salad?
Yeah, excuse me.
But then I'd see him talking into his hands, and I'd be like, "Oh, see, I want to try that." Like, it's a barbecue sauce. Oh, no.
I'd be like, who is it first? Like, is it somebody that, it's a family man. Oh shit. Oh, he also ran a drug cartel.
It might be the second Anthony Hopkins Hannibal film. I forget what it's called, the second one.
Red Dragon?
Isn't that the prequel?
No.
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's the second one. And there's a bit right at the end where he's caught this FBI agent or whatever, and he takes the top of his head off.
That's in the third one.
Is that the third one? Right. And he cuts a bit of his brain out, fries it up in front of him, and then feeds it to him. Oh, man. So good. Oh, man. It's just fucking amazing. I love that film. I think as well, Hannibal Lecter's just such an interesting character, like based on a real person.
He's definitely not going to be in you. I think I'd just beg for a vegetarian option.
Have you watched the TV show with
most of it? Yeah. Mads
Mikkelsen. Yeah.
Fucking brilliant in that.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
I'm kind of gutted that they cancelled it because it was quite a good show. But there is talks of it coming back, but it's been.
Yeah, it happens, man.
I think I'd probably.
What would you go for? Yeah,
I think I'd go for the Hannibal Lecter route, but I think I'd just ask to eat vegetarian.
So when
I'd maybe do some probing.
The big old dick. You're like, what?
I'd maybe do a bit of probing and be like, who is it? Like, if he's like, it was some,
What's that guy called? Is he called Vincent Scrielli?
The guy that's played by Gary Oldman.
No. So this is a real guy. He's the guy that he came up with like an AIDS drug or a cancer drug or something, and he hiked the price up like 5,000%.
Oh yeah,
one of the most hated people in the world. If it was him, I'd dive straight in.
Fair dues,
like, I'll have a leg.
Like, be gutted though if you're like, can I have the heart? No, it's already gone. It wasn't there. That's been another successful, as of yet unnamed podcast by Notsteam Productions.
Oh yes.
Any closing thoughts, Liam?
If you get the chance, eat some fingers. I know I will.
Oh, please don't. Please don't.
You killed the question, dude.
Yeah, I know. I regret it. Don't be cannibals. It's not It's frowned upon.
Yeah, it's kind of illegal as well. Yeah.
Most places. Right, bye.
Take care. Bye, guys.